Good afternoon, this is Joe Barker here with the latest severe thunderstorm outlook concerning the early week threat for the Mid-Atlantic region. First of all, let's take a look at today's upper air disturbance. You can see it here, it's starting to move away from the area. There are still some showers left from it. It's moving offshore. There's some other stuff going on back here coming off the lakes. Not a real big deal. It's all from the northwest flow that we have in place. Let's take a look at radar real quickly. On radar you will find that we have some shower activity back across central Pennsylvania that is now falling apart, some back in Ohio Valley. And here's our upper air disturbance here, now moving offshore. Did trigger one stronger storm. Not a big deal at all. One stronger storm just west of the Chesapeake Bay here. And then another one along the Delmarva. Wasn't a big deal. We actually did get some weak, most unstable Cape readings that set up. We have one that was slightly stronger on the order of 500 right here along the Virginia Maryland border. Not a big deal. The strongest values are off out to sea, not going to affect the area at all. We don't expect it to affect our area. Now let's look at tomorrow night's threat. As you can see, we will have a warm front that's coming through tomorrow night. We have a high probability of precipitation. The best chance for heavy precipitation with this will be across northwestern Pennsylvania, where there is a C-text area put out by the Storm Protection Center. Across our area, we do not really have much of a chance of thunderstorms. If anything, I would expect an elevated storm. It's not going to really be a big deal. As you can see, it pushes through. It moves out by Monday morning. And then after that, what we see is we will see a strong warm-up Monday morning. I mean, a real strong warm-up Monday morning into the afternoon. We will actually get up to 68 to 72 degrees. I am thinking some places just south of the area, Delaware, Washington, D.C., I'm expecting 72 to 75 degrees. And north up into the Poconos, 68 degrees. In Philadelphia metropolitan area, I'm thinking right around 70 degrees for Monday. Now let's continue this. As we continue along, here comes our very strong cold front. We're going to have a strong low position across the Great Lakes. It's eventually going to lift off into Canada. But along this cold front, what you will see is we will have high probability for precipitation. That's because we're going to be talking about thunderstorms. Something we have not seen in a few weeks around here. I mean, we've been dealing with cold, damp, even some snow just the other day on Friday morning. Oh, I'm ready for that to be gone. I'm sure you're ready for it to be gone. I know I am. I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for nice weather. So let's continue along. You can see the probability chances continue. But look here. Some of them trying to hang back in West Virginia. That's because back there we will have some rain behind the front that will try to hang around. It's not going to make it east of the mountains. A lot of times we'll see this happen. We'll see the outflow of the thunderstorms will develop some rain behind. It's not going to be a big deal. Now look here. You will see we get some redevelopment of the storms along the Jersey coast. That is our wild card for Tuesday morning. Do we get the storms to come in or to remain to the west long enough that we get some surface-based heating during the morning? That we'll have to wait and see. A lot of times that can be a last-minute thing. That's where we use some of our short-range models, which RUC, high-resolution rapid refresh model, and regular rapid refresh model. I know they haven't been the best lately. The RUC did do pretty good for the event Friday. It actually said the event's going to go to Maine, and that's exactly what it did. Anyhow, getting back to the point here, let's continue on and look at the NAM. Well, before we look at the NAM, I want to look at tomorrow night real quickly. Again, here on the SPC WRF 12 UTC model, you can see, look, it does point out why the Storm Prediction Center issued a C-text there. You can see some weak storms develop there, maybe an isolated strong one. For the most part, it's elevated, and they move east, northeast, and then they just weaken. They die out. Not going to affect us. Continue along. One does pop up around D.C. Not a big deal. And you can see we get a light to moderate rain. That's not our main concern. Our main concern here is going to be the line of storms that the NAM is putting out. Now this is Tuesday morning, early Tuesday morning, when most of you are waking up to go to work and school. you can see we have a line of thunderstorms. We have a 980 millibar area of low pressure here in Canada. We have a line of thunderstorms that stretches from New York State, gets stronger as you get down to D.C., continues down into the Gulf Coast states, and even into the Florida Panhandle. What we have to watch here is what type of dynamics we see set up overnight, late night into early morning. We will have some heating that will take place Monday evening. What's going to happen is you tend to, at nighttime, it tends to dissipate at nighttime because you have radiational cooling that takes place. That lowers the temperatures a lot, and that weakens the instability. However, in this case scenario, as you can see out ahead of this, there's a strong southwest flow. We will have strong winds continuing Monday night on the order of 10 to 15 miles per hour, possible gust up to 20 miles per hour ahead of this storm, and because of that, that's going to really eliminate the radiational cooling that takes place. So our low temperatures, they may not even get out of the 50s. We may have 50s for the lowest at night. But what the wild card is, if we get any surface-based heating in the morning and get closer to the 60s, that dramatically increases the strong to severe threat, strong to severe thunderstorms. So let's continue on and look at some NAM dynamics. This is from the 12Z NAM. As you can see here, dew points are fairly low right now, but as we go along, hour 24 it remains low. Then when our warm front comes through, they're going to start to raise. Monday, it goes up to 48 for the dew point temperature. Then Monday evening, 62. Late Monday night, it gets up to 56 degrees. That's what is interesting. 56 degrees, that's, you're starting to talk a high value for this time of year, which is good for thunderstorms. The higher the dew point, the better chance you have of moisture being available, the better chance you have of severe weather. Once you start getting the 60s and 70s, which we will see in the summertime, that's when you really get a strong plume of moisture, a strong setup for thunderstorms. Now let's look at something else real quickly. Let's take a look at the lifted index, which is the lift in the atmosphere. The higher the value, the better setup for thunderstorms. As you can see, it gets to negative 2.3 Monday evening, then it gets to negative 2.2 again late Monday night into early Tuesday morning. I have seen in the past where this is sometimes overdone or underdone. More so underdone than overdone, but because we're dealing with overnight time frame, I'm going to agree with this for right now. We are dealing with a strong storm system, so it should be able to create enough energy ahead of itself to allow for this to happen. Something else that's really interesting, and I mean really high for this time of year, the sweat index. That's the winds in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, how much rotation is going around. I mean, it can create strong straight line winds, a lot of updrafts and downdrafts. Look at the reading here, 418.6. We don't usually see that till later in the spring and the summertime. That's very high. So that right there is telling me there's going to be a strong wind threat with this. There's going to be strong updrafts and downdrafts with the storms. And a lot of our classical early morning threats that we have had in the past years, they have started out with strong sweat values. And here, this is no exception. Now let's take a look at the hail values. Hail sizes, yeah, we're talking pretty large hail sizes. As you could see back on the NAM, let's go back to the NAM real quickly. You see back on NAM we had a very strong temperature gradient in the upper levels, and same thing for the surface. You have the 10C line here, and you have the 0C line here, which indicates the freezing level in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Anytime you get them real close together, that's also great for thunderstorms. But if you have the upper level cooling getting ahead of the thunderstorms, that can sometimes create an upper level elevated hail threat. We will have somewhat an elevated hail threat with these thunderstorms, which is why the hail values, size values are pretty high. Now let's continue along here. Take a look at some other things real quickly. Here's the 12 UTC Canadian model. And the reason why I'm showing you the Canadian model, it tends to overdo things. Yeah, we know that. We know the Canadians tends to overdo things, but look here real quickly. It has this rain for tomorrow night. It actually has a little bit heavier patch. But now I'm going to stop it as it gets to us. You can see it weakens, then it starts to redevelop. It redevelops here. Continues to redevelop, but look what happens. It slows down a bit. And there's an interesting point. Do I think that's going to happen? No, but if it were to happen, we would see some heavy rain. The name is putting out high precipitable water values, which I will show you next. Take a look here. This is from the 18Z data. I'll show you something else here. The sweat went down a little bit on the 18Z NAM. We do have some instability that developed. Elevated instability. Gets to around 1,000. Close to 1,000. But take a look at some other things here real quickly. The hail gets to about 6/10 of an inch, which really at the surface, if you bring that down to the surface, you're talking about hail maybe about the size of a pea at the most. It's not going to be a big issue. But look here, precipitable water, 1.25 inches. That's more of a value you would find in May. Yeah, you can find it this time of year, but you're starting to get higher values. The summertime, what you're really looking for is anywhere between 1.9 and 2 inches. That's when you're talking your higher amounts. But for spring, yeah, this is pretty impressive. So, to wrap it all up here, what am I predicting? Basically, folks, what I'm predicting is a strong line of thunderstorms that's going to come in the early morning hours. There will be isolated severe. Therefore, I think the Storm Prediction Center is going to start us off with the C-Tex area tonight. And by tomorrow night into Monday morning, I think they're going to add us into a slight risk area where we will have the threat for strong damaging winds. Lightning, there will be quite a bit of lightning with this, as we will have some nice elevated instability and isospheric lifting that will set up, and heavy rainfall. The line will be moving quick. It will not be slow like the Canadian has. Once it pushes through, the temperatures will start to drop throughout the day, and the winds will pick up throughout the day. We will have strong northwest winds gusting up to 25 to 30 miles per hour, as we will have our low pressure system deepening to 970 millibars up in Canada, far away from our area. Will no longer be any threat to us. Flash flooding, yeah, it could be possible with the heaviest thunderstorms. Really what you're going to have to watch out is this will be coming through during rush hour, so it will slow down things Tuesday morning. That is all I have for now. If the threat does become even more severe, if it comes close to moderate risk criteria, which it could south of the Mesa-Dixon line, DC area, we could come close to moderate risk criteria. It's really iffy because of the timing, but if that threat does shift more north, then I will update you on this. For now, that's all I have. Thanks for listening and watching. Joe Vodvarka, liveweatherblogs.com.